Hey guys, what's up? Today we're sitting down with Jason Lockhart, owner and head talent agent at Atlanta Models and Talent. He recently started his vertical talent division because he sees the vertical trend becoming part of the actual entertainment industry. And I know this, I've been talking about this for 3 years, but we'll jump into that. We'll talk about how AI is disrupting the entertainment industry along with vertical, but how the industry has always been disrupted by new technology and has always evolved and adapted. Also, the new opportunities for actors that are coming out of this, and potentially the Steven Spielberg of verticals, who is out there, who is yet to be discovered. It could be you. Join us on this awesome episode as we talk about all this crazy stuff and go down this rabbit hole.
Tech and talent.
This is an AI created music piece, by the way. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tech and Talent. Jason Lockhart of Atlanta Models and Talent. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's an honor.
So your life and work as a talent agent, is AI impacting that at all?
Not yet, except for conversations all the time. So it is taking minutes out of my day, but I'm not seeing an ROI on those minutes yet. I'm just collecting them, and I
We are an
expect a big
example.
ROI.
We are an example of that distraction.
It's okay. You guys are cool.
Thank you. You just started a vertical division. Tell us about that. Why now? Why now?
Well, historically, this time of year is kind of one of the valleys of the industry. We look at the year as like peaks and valleys of busy times. And I think people forget, just because there isn't Christmas at this time of year, that the industry is relatively slower. We used to follow like a pilot season and it would die down around now. And then a lot of movies will start gearing up in the summer when crew is available. And then all of the TV, for the major networks would start back up in late August, early September. So that being said, Kelly Neiman and I just bought AMT after working together for nearly a decade. And we're really gung-ho about being busy. And we love being agents. And when there are only 3 or 4 high-profile projects to work on, we immediately look around and well, what else can we do? Because we don't want to play on social media or be reading crap, going to random lunches. We want to be busy. Our job is to provide opportunities for actors, secure those opportunities, and keep them safe and paid timely and paid correctly. So we started looking around well, food is scarce. And then I was like, but not in this vertical space.
Yeah.
In 2024, I feel like there was 1 or 2 vertical projects popping up on the breakdowns for agents to submit to or actors to directly submit once or twice a week. And now
Every single one of them was mine. Just FYI.
I bet they were with Cheryl Loudon Kubin casting.
Yes. She says hello, by the way. I was just texting her. So.
Bless you, Cheryl, and your love for actors and going to see everyone live. But right now, in the spring of 2026, we've got a new vertical project every hour that we could be working on. And we thought, we would love to be giving steak and lobster to the actors all day, every day. But I'm also not opposed to pizza. And I'm not opposed to burgers because that shit tastes good and it's plentiful and it fills me up and it actually puts a smile on my face. So let's go out there and get all of that delicious looking pizza and say to these hungry actors, do you want to eat something? Because we have a choice here. We can look at this as lower budget and a style of acting that we aren't super familiar with, or we can look at it really positively. This might be fun. This might taste good. This might pay bills. This might go somewhere. And this might build connections and let you work your craft. So we chose the positives and we are attacking these full force, built the department. We're repping what I would call vertical stars and stars in the making. And we are bringing on actors that live in other markets and submitting them in their home markets like Los Angeles and doing our best to read these contracts and get the actors the best deals they can and enjoy acting and getting paid for it.
Look, I'll say 100,000,000%. As an actor, I want my representation to have the same attitude and perspective that you have. But as an actor, it is so incredible, and what an opportunity it is to be on a set and get paid for what you do. Like it's one of the best things that you could ever do. It's the best job on set, really. Like yeah, yeah,
I couldn't agree more. Like, think about any form of artist. If you're a saxophone player and you could get paid and there's a ton of people hiring, you might not want to do weddings, but you might love playing your saxophone and getting paid for it.
yeah.
I think there's this stigma in our industry where you're expected to do, and I hate these two words together, free work. Doesn't make sense to me. If it's work, you should be paid. And I don't think that falls just on the actor. I think it falls on the producer. If you're asking someone to do a job for you, you should compensate them. But why is it in our industry people are expected at the beginning stages, sure, but people are expected to do work for free? You wouldn't go into a hair salon and be like, well, you just got your license, so do this for free. You wouldn't do it. Why in acting?
Two answers. I had two answers for you, Jonathan. Uh, One, if we were to parallel this to advertising, I think a really great way to break into the world of advertising would be to do an internship right out the
Yes,
gate
but
at
let me
22
not
and a half
interrupt you.
years old. And that might be free, but you're going to learn a hell of a lot about the industry, and it's going to set you up for a career of success. So that's one reason why I think it's okay for an actor to do some stuff for free early in their career. Student films, web series, stuff like that. But also in those instances, the productions probably aren't making a ton of money. They're also in the internship phase of their career. The second reason why I think that is in the entertainment industry is simply a supply and demand. It is incredibly competitive, and the number of people who want to make money as an actor versus the number of positions of paid actors available globally are quite drastically far apart numerically. So I think that's one of the reasons why, and unfortunately, I think people aware of that will sometimes abuse their privilege of saying we have an open opportunity, and they will try to squeeze it to their advantage, and that sucks. And we as agents like to come in there and try to help protect those.
From
I
if you're
I
looking at the
agree.
entertainment
Go
industry,
ahead, Brett.
so if you're looking at the entertainment industry from a business perspective, that analogy of supply and demand is actually a really great analogy. There's way more actors than there are positions to be filled, and it's funny because I mean I think on your show, when you talked with Jacob, Jacob had said something specifically about, look, there's one actor that gets the role. There were 40 other people who auditioned for it. And then when you don't get the role, all the other actors are oh man, I must be bad. But it's not that. It's because there's only one role to fill, you know?
Yeah, that's why I say it's not even just a job that you booked. It's a trophy. You just want a trophy because there are a lot of people vying for that. And that's why it's really important, I think, for an actor who has worked often that they remember that they've collected trophies, not just bookings. Their resume should be shiny gold, not black and white.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. I also want to clarify when I say compensation, I don't just mean monetary. An internship, you are absolutely getting something for that. A student film, I think you're getting something for that. When I say free work, what I mean is you see something on Backstage or casting networks, and it's a smaller production company, but clearly other people on that set are getting paid. And the actors don't get anything. They don't even get the footage. And they say, well, it's a great experience. For who? So internships, student films, things where you're going to get the footage, you're going to network. If you're getting something out of it, it doesn't have to be money, especially not in the beginning. I just think there's more predatory production and hiring than we might think.
Well, I mean, 100%. I mean, you literally have Harvey Weinstein at the level at which Harvey Weinstein was, but then you
Oh,
have the
I don't
Craigslist
mean that
versions
kind.
of Harvey Weinstein, but like when you say predatory, I mean, look, our entire industry, there's the good and the bad in this entire industry. But like also, Jonathan, like a lot of times, like, you'll do a student thesis film and you go in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but you're all growing together from the students who are producing, directing, acting, shooting,
Hmm.
and sometimes like that product comes out like poop because you're all still learning together. I don't think you're necessarily gonna know going into that. Obviously on a network TV show, if you're cast on that, you're gonna get paid. There's
Yeah.
unions behind it. But like I don't think you can always know if you're gonna get compensated in the way that you're gonna get compensated that you're saying.
Well, with a student film, I think the pay is collaboration, and
Yeah.
you get to try things and work and build and ask questions. And you never know. That might be a Jerry Bruckheimer in that uh, student film shoot with you.
Sure.
Uh, I just think when it comes to some of the smaller jobs that you see online, we have to be careful. So that's one of the things I was going to ask you, Jason, is what can newer actors do to make sure they're submitting for the right projects, the right agencies, and making sure that they're being respected as artists?
I think it's a case by case situation. And I also think that what is good for one person might not be good for another. So it depends on your availability and what you're looking to get. I think if you're an actor who's brand new and starting out, you really do want to have some footage. You really do want to prove that you're a talented actor on camera. And how do you get that? It's that catch-22 of like, well, I need an agent to get big budget stuff, but I also need footage to show an agent that I'm talented. So I think that wherever an actor is in their journey or in their career is going to make a big decision in what they apply for.
Well said. Well said. Are you going to represent AI avatars one day?
I'm going to continuously look for innovating ways to help the industry make money and, you know, I want to stay current with the times. I've never thought about repping anyone other than actors, and I think I would have a hard time repping someone who um, repping. I feel like an AI avatar would be a company. So I don't want to say I don't want to make a finite decision on what I will or what I won't do.
Of course, of
But
course.
let's say one of my actors was in a car accident and could no longer use their limbs, and they still wanted to act. But maybe they could act in two ways. Maybe they could act in a wheelchair, and maybe they could act with their AI avatar. So I'm really open to the idea of what actually protects humanity in artists and giving them a relatively safe and paved way to make income off their artistry.
Well, I'm a fan. I'm sold.
I mean that's a great way to put it. It's funny that you said when you look at an AI avatar, you think of it as a company, but also isn't every single actor that you represent their own company? Aren't
Absolutely. So
aren't
whoever
they
would,
their own? Yeah,
yeah,
like
so who owns that AI avatar, and what's my relationship with them and what are their goals? What's their level of artistry? Are they a good human being? Can I help and make them safe and make them protected and help them see recurring income? You know,
are looking at the contracts that you're signing, especially a lot of these verticals are all mostly non-union. What are you looking out for now in your contracts?
Great question. One is overtime pay. So I had an actress, actually my girlfriend, book a lead in a vertical, and her contract said there will be no overtime paid, and the artist accepts that. And I thought, well, that's against U.S. labor laws. I wonder if they're even aware. And so I looked up specifically the labor laws in the state of Georgia and saw that they can't even do that. Literally, the government would trump this contract. But I don't want to get into it with them. I don't want to get into it with her. So I asked her, what do you want me to do? She was like, I don't really care. And I said, you know, I don't want to I don't want to ruin this job for you and I don't want to like put negative energy on the situation. I'm just going to kindly ask if they're even aware because sometimes we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
So I wrote to the line producer who was the one doing all the back and forth. And I said, I just noticed this in the contract and per this, verbiage, it doesn't even make sense. Can we get that changed? Are you even aware? And she was like, I just chatted with the producer. He's going to call you. And I thought, oh shit, here we go. And they were so cool. And they were like, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and change it in her contract for you. It was that easy because they wanted to do what was right. And I wasn't being a dick about it either. I was just coming to them with questions and awareness. And I think a lot of a lot of productions, especially non-union, because they're not following standard contracts that have been negotiated, they might not even know what they're putting in there, you know?
Now, what about? I mean, that's great, and it's great that you took that initiative and you did it in such a savvy way, which
Yes.
helped your actor and helped production.
He didn't
Um,
tarnish that relationship. He didn't leave a bad taste in their mouth.
yeah,
And what did they say? You get more flies with honey than vinegar.
right.
And we
Yeah, I was
say it on
very
this
careful of my
show.
word choices.
That's that's so wonderful to hear. We say it on this show a lot. The number one rule of entertainment: don't be a dick.
Don't be a
If
dick.
you follow
Yes.
that rule, if you follow that rule, you might just be okay. If you
Right.
don't follow that rule, you absolutely will not make it. Now,
Right.
that's just how I feel about it. But I love the way you handled that situation by providing a solution for both sides and making it mutually beneficial. Wow. That's
And
an agent right there, y'all.
she didn't even hit overtime. Like it was all a non-issue, but part of my job is to protect.
N- Now, what about AI stuff? What are you looking for in contracts when it comes to AI?
That they can only utilize the actor's likeness in said project. One contract at a time.
Your cape is showing there, Jason. Your cape is showing. Wow. Wow. So let's fast forward, say, 2 years. We're not going to be in the future. It's not like avatars are going to be doing all the films. At least I don't think. Do you see AMT repping both real people's avatars? So, like, if I had an avatar of myself, you could rep that as you explained with the wheelchair, the handicapped actor. But what about, and I don't know what you call these, AI, fully generated AI individuals, or as I call
Like
them, characters?
original intellectual property of
Yeah,
a fully created AI avatar.
like a Tilly Norwood, which
Yeah.
I hate to keep talking about it, but that's a piece of IP. But if it's making money, I see it similar to, say, Marvin the Martian or Bugs Bunny, Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
It's still a brand. Do you see AMT taking that talent under its wing as well? Talent. I'm doing this. That form of, I don't even know what to call it anymore. What do we call them? Characters, IP.
Uh, an avatar IP. I mean, it is trained by an artist. It is implemented by an artist. Like it's like Kermit the Frog, the puppet. There's a whole team behind it, right?
Right, right,
Um,
right.
and these things. Look personally, allegedly, how I feel is that all of the studio systems, all of the networks, all of the streaming platforms are creating their own internal IP avatars as we speak. This is again allegedly just my opinion,
Mhm.
but there's no reason for them not to be doing it. Um, I think there will be a day where Brett Newton, the actor, auditions to be acting with Tilly Norwood, the avatar. And I think there will come a day where representation has to come into this, and you're making the decision of you're repping actors and avatars. There will be full agents that represent just a roster of avatars, and there will probably be AI agents that represent AI avatars. So just like we're not that far away from this world within the next 10 years, maybe sooner, you know.
So my question for Jason is, do you see AMT taking on avatars that are not based on real individuals that are your clients, but are fully created IP characters?
Just given the state of where we're at in the world right now and realistically what's in front of me, I'm going to say no because I have zero requests for this. So I'm not going to waste 1 minute trying to garner something that isn't in front of me. Like there are verticals in front of me. So I'm working on verticals. If suddenly there's a breakdown every hour that says we're in need of all these AI actors, then I'd be
Yeah.
like, well, fuck, we gotta get some AI actors if we want to keep the lights on. Um, but that's not even close to the reality that I'm living in. As far as like actors like auditioning to work opposite them, like newsflash, they've been doing that for over 20 years already. Look at Star Wars Episode 2. Those actors were just working opposite Jar Jar Binks, who wasn't standing
Yes.
there. So, like, that's been going on for a long time.
Sure.
And it worked really well too. That's a beloved character.
Yeah,
No, people hate Jar Jar Binks.
I
So
hate Jar Jar Binks, but I'm seeing some real parallels in these major tech conversations between the origin of CGI and now this AI entering the TV and film medium. I remember a lot of people bitching about CGI in the 90s and like, what is this and this computer stuff and it looks like crap and like we're acting opposite no one there. It's taking away jobs from production designers and artistic directors and prop masters. But then Jurassic Park came out, and because Steven Spielberg did it and it was fantastic and everyone loved it, everyone didn't give a shit about CGI anymore. It was like, yay CGI and yay movie, and we just made over $100 million and everybody
right.
loves it. And there was merchandising everywhere, and almost every kid in the 90s in middle class America had some sort of dinosaur in their home.
Yes.
So I'm really curious to see if this parallels that.
I think it will in a way. And like talking about the vertical space, right? I still think, vertical is fresh enough where like I still think the vertical Steven Spielberg will be coming out. Like the young filmmaker who creates something that is spectacular in the vertical platform, whether it's on one of these platforms, whether it's on a free distribution platform like a social media, um, I think we are in the very beginning of having amazing talent make amazing vertical content that is outside of the world of, the romance, the typical micro drama vertical that we think of right now. And I think it's going to start and expel people's careers. And I also, when you're making, as a filmmaker now, when you're making a horizontal movie, like your passion project or the movie that you set out to make, I think distributors are going to ask for both assets. They're going to ask for the horizontal and the vertical cut, and they're going to be distributing on all the platforms. It's just the real estate that it plays in. So,
I agree with you, Brad. I think that's coming, and I empower you to be one of the ones that does it.
What
okay.
have I said,
I
Breton?
know, Jonathan.
What have I said?
You're way too you're an inventor. You
Well,
are an
thank you.
inventor, man, and you're an artist. Put those
Well,
two things
Jonathan, we
together.
have that. Thank you, Jason. Jake, thank you. Jonathan, we have the distributor. Okay,
Hmm.
we have a
Hmm.
bunch of actors. We
Hmm.
have writers, and we have agents. I guess we can do it now. So,
Are you saying that just as a bit, or are you saying I can get to work on this and we can really do this?
yeah, why not? I mean, hey, you know me. If you convince me long enough, I'll say, okay, that's how the show got started.
You know
So,
what? That's true. That's really how this happened, Jason. I think I did a vertical. It was 3, 4 years ago. Brett was the producer on it. And then, of course, I don't talk to Brett. I don't really know Brett. Years and years and years go by until what, maybe 6 months ago. I got an
yeah,
email blast from Brett about rehearsenow.ai, Brett's company, which, by the way, you should go to if you can't find a reader and you got to get that self tape in by midnight or 11:59 p.m. Don't call your friends and wake them up. Don't bother your spouse. Go to rehearsenow.ai. The voices are so believable. You won't believe it. Check that out. He's got a special running right now, whatever. But I got that email and I just said, this this guy needs to be out there talking to people. If he's a producer of vertical shorts and an AI tech CEO, I think there's a meeting there in the center that a lot of people just don't have. And I do work for daytime TV in New York from time to time for the Tamron Hall show. And I thought, I've seen guests come on this show that are just like Brett. They're Renaissance people. They're solving problems, creating things, teaching people to think in a new way. I thought, man, I could do that. So I just called Brett. I just called the phone number at the bottom of that email. And
Wow.
I said, I have this idea. It's going to sound crazy. Brett's like, all right, dude, what's in it for you? I said, I want to be a part of it, and
No, no,
six
I
months
remember
later,
that
we have
phone call. It was you
Jason
were
Lockhart from
inspiring.
AMT on the show.
It was an inspiring phone call, to be honest. It was motivating too. And like Jonathan, it was also something that I wanted to do. And we make a good team. And I mean that's how we progressed into this, which I think is going to be something fantastic from now going into the future. I mean, look, we have Jason Lockhart here.
I know. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Well, sounds like you
You
got Wayne Gretzky because, the quote of you miss all the shots you don't take. You took a shot, man. You took a
Yeah.
shot. I'm taking shots for people all day, every day, and I miss way more than I make, but occasionally I do make them.
Yeah.
What's
I
the
mean
hardest
that's
thing about, oh, sorry, Brett. Go ahead.
well, no, that's the entertainment industry. You get 99% no's and one yes,
Yeah.
over and over and over and over and over. So,
I want to pass forward some more information too that I just got. I have a mentor figure.
Oh.
is it Jesse
Who
Malinowski? No, I'm just kidding.
no, I'd call him a best friend. Um, my mentor, his name is Mark Temple. He's probably never going to hear this or see this, but he's an entertainment lawyer in Los Angeles who's had a hell of a career. He reps creators and some famous actors and writers, and even Tyler Perry. Um, and he said to me over a really nice steak the other day, Jason, you're creative. Don't forget, be creative in everything you do with business. And I thought, wow. And he was like, how many deals you do a day? And I was like, well, sometimes we do 10. He's like, imagine if all 10 you were creative in that deal structure. He's like 9 out of 10 times doesn't work, but that one time it does. I thought he's right. He's right. And those do seem to be kind of realistic numbers and like making big asks. But I could be even more creative in like how I make how I make asks and how we go about everything we do with business. Like if I stop and think, how can I be creative in this venture or in this moment? And so to anyone listening or watching, like I hope that potentially hits home for someone.
It's hitting home for me. I think for me, I think I operate that way anyway, because maybe it's just an ADHD kind of thing. But I don't know another way to do it. Uh, Sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes it's damaging, but I'd rather take the damage than not create, not be creative with what I do.
see,
And
see,
go ahead, Brett.
see, like
Wow.
I'm on the other side of that spectrum because like I think I need someone like you, Jason, or you, Jonathan, to remind me to be creative because that's what I love. And I think I get so stuck in the business of it all, like, and I stop enjoying what I'm doing that I have to remind myself, why am I doing this? It's because I
Right.
love the creative side of it, and I don't do it enough, It's
Remind
also
yourself
the
that there are
time
two
management.
sides, there are two sides of your brain.
Yeah.
You're allowed to ask both sides to do some work for you.
This is the most remarkable day. I'm, oh, thank God we're recording this. Um, it's wonderful to see a representative who really, really cares about the artists that they speak for. In Central Florida, anyway, I don't feel we get that from all of the agents. I won't say any names. Well, I probably will, and we'll just edit it out or make enemies. But I don't feel like we get what we're getting from you in Central Florida.
I'll really tell you why is vulnerable as it makes me. I so badly wanted to be a working artist in Los Angeles. I moved there with a degree in acting and I was writing scripts and I worked my ass off. I mean, I got straight A's my whole life. Like I worked my ass off and was president at every club. And didn't matter what I did in Los Angeles, I never found someone who believed in me. And I just eventually got a real job behind a desk so that I could pay bills and chase other things that mattered to me in life, like finding love and having a family. And eventually I got too old. And now I'm probably too old to like start over and try to be a dad. So instead, I just give what I never got, which is so much love and passion and hope for others, and I put it into them. And I wake up all day, every day, and it's extremely rewarding. And that's my path.
You're the
That's my path.
dad of all of your clients.
I
So
kind of am, yeah. Like all that
you,
love that would have went into children is going into hundreds of people instead.
it, LA is it's a beast. And I mean the entire entertainment industry is a beast. But like the thing about LA, like you have hundreds of thousands of actors out there, but you also have thousands of agents and managers out there. So like people don't realize like the Atlanta market, like what, maybe there's 60 talent agencies here and 4 years ago there was 30, you know. It's not as saturated and it's easier to get in the door. I felt like when I lived in LA for 15 years doing that rat race, and I had opportunity. I got some opportunity. I got my SAG card, but I wasn't getting the opportunity at the speed at which I wanted it, at the consistency. And I had heard about Atlanta. I did some stuff. I came out here, and it was true. And I was like, holy moly! There's an industry. There's people, and it's a tighter niche community. But like I felt like a doctor coming to Atlanta because of how hard you have to work in that market in LA because it's so saturated. And then coming here, I mean, I feel so lucky that I got here when I got here because obviously the industry has changed in the last 8 years. But I still think that the opportunity in Atlanta is incredible. And I will say this too, like I'm 41. I'm 41 or 42. I don't remember. Um, but I feel like I get more opportunities now as an older actor than I did when I was in my 20s in LA. And part of that is one, I have the training and I have the rapport. Now I have a portfolio, but also because I've committed to this business, I have less competition in the professional level that I am in. It's like Charles Green, man. I mean, like he gets every single role, from 50 to 60, he gets because one, he's good, but then two, he has less competition because he stayed in the industry, and he's killing it. And he's also very good. So, but yes. Anyway, that's my
I also think
rants.
the older we get, I mean, that was beautifully said. And I agree. But the older we get, sometimes I think the more settled we are into who we actually are. Who's our authentic self? And in our 20s, we're trying so hard to be what we think they want us to be.
Yep.
And as soon as that goes away, our value goes up as a human.
You can actually mark those changes too. Like when I started to wear Crocs and not give an F, I didn't care about other things as well. I remember that transition when I would work my ass off to get a gig and then I'd get it. Not one that my agent got me because they didn't even form the relationship, but I reached out to the company. I said, "You need a spokesperson." And you're right. And that whole thing, I felt great about that. I'm like, well, so then what does it matter what other people think about anything, whatever? I just landed that. And now it's become a full-time living for me. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, now that I'm 42 and, don't have the amazing hair that you do, Jason, by the way, I
It is
just,
incredible.
I focus on what I love and I lean into my strengths. And I think all actors should take a look at that. Take a look at like what are you really good at? I call it your X-Man power. What's your X-Man power? Lean into it and bring that to everything that you do. I think sometimes it works out. I want to go back to that amazing quote, be creative in everything you do in business. Can you give us an example of how you were creative in your business? Maybe a specific example from, say, the past, I don't know, week or two.
Absolutely. I left that dinner with Mark. and barely slept for the next 2 days. So I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I'd been working on a logo, a new logo for AMT, so it didn't look like the logo that had been around for 60 plus years. And and I was like, well, what do I want it to look like? And I started with the MGA logo. Do you know what talent agency is MGA? It's a fictitious talent agency. Miller Gold,
MGA.
a Miller Gold agency from Entourage.
Yeah, I
Wow.
was gonna Ari Gold, right? Okay, okay.
Very gold. Every agent probably has some sort of fondness for that show and that character because we live it. And I just creatively spun off of that and ended up with a finalized new logo and a new website for the company. And then it was also how can we creatively do things that our competition isn't doing or isn't doing yet, and or what is our competition and how can we do it better? And so I started looking at the departments, and lo and behold, it's been a very short time since that meeting, and we have two new departments. And our TV film team is dividing and conquering said departments so that the manpower is being utilized well. I really do look at the day with minutes, not with hours. And it's how many minutes are we going to give to certain things and who's going to give them and what's the ROI on said minutes. And we have launched these two new ventures. This morning, I was on Fox 5 Atlanta News telling people they can submit if they've got cute kids to our new youth department that we plan on investing a lot of minutes in because there's a lot of reward, as we've seen historically from our series regular children. And you just never know how that's going to affect the world too. So like that dinner with Mark, he doesn't even know I'm talking about him right now, kept me awake for 2 days and has infused all of these creative wheels spinning. And now there we are on the news. And I bet there is some parent that watched Good Morning Atlanta this morning and they're going to think, huh, my kid's cute. And they're going to send in an email with two pictures of their child. And one day that child is going to end up in some major, major motion picture. And they're going to think back to it all started watching the news, which really goes back to so much further to the dinner with Mark, but it also goes all the way back to 1983 when I got in this industry. So, like, all of that manpower and hours and minutes translates to so much potential success for people. And that's why the creativity is so important. But that's what happened recently.
I love that journey that you just went on from seeing it on the news to submitting to you to that child being in a major motion picture. The reality is like in this industry, like that's how these journeys happen. And when you're in it, it feels like it takes so long to achieve success. But like when you look back at it, like you're like, yeah, there's a lot of things that happen along the way, but it was really kind of, that simple in the journey.
And it is simple because I have so many stories. They all happen like that. They have different, different dots connecting, but they all have an origin story.
Now, okay, something huge for you. So you just created these new departments. Now, a big reason why you were able to do that is because you just co-purchased AMT with your partner now. What was that process like of buying a talent agency, one that you had already been working at? How did that opportunity arise? What's the transition been like? What's the vision outset?
Dude, what great questions. Um, you know, I don't remember when I had this conversation, but somebody was talking about like trying to prove their value and so that they could get a raise. And I thought, it's not about getting the raise. It's about proving that they can't exist without you. Prove yourself
Oh,
invaluable. And when I
yeah, yeah,
moved
yeah,
to
yeah.
Atlanta, I was terrified. I went from 90 clients in Los Angeles to over 1,000 here. And I just got up every day at 4:45 in the morning and I was like, I'm determined to learn six of the actors today. I'm going to learn what networks they've been on, what producers they've worked with, what directors they've worked with, which casting directors have booked them. I need to learn 68 scripted shows, what networks are shooting here, who's casting what, and how do these casting directors speak? What is their lingo? So like I just did the work to the point where I was able to get into, sometimes heated discussions with the owner of the company. Um, but she couldn't let me go, you know? And even though, well, all relationships they have their peaks and valleys. We never really had valleys. We had way more peaks. But I think I proved to her pretty early on that it didn't matter if I was making millions, I was going to act like I was. And so eventually it came the time where I wanted to make more, and so did Kelly Neiman, who I can't say enough good things about. We started around the same time. It's been nearly a decade. We're very like-minded, and we really challenge each other and support and inspire each other, kind of like almost like we're each a bridge and we support each other indefinitely. And we just started having these conversations about 2 years ago. And three things I'm really big on and preach all the time are patience, persistence, and positivity. And sometimes Kelly wasn't so patient, and so I would keep telling her, "Let's stay patient, let's stay positive." And then eventually we just started bringing up the conversation. The owner was getting more and more hands off, and we thought we're doing more and more, and the industry is getting slower because post 2023 and the strike, so our commissions just weren't nearly as high. And we thought, you know what, we're doing too much, and the commission's going to someone else. So we need to start planting these seeds and having these conversations. And it did take a few months with conversations, but we also thought about like how does Sarah do deals? And got a very big heart and a lot of emotion is tied to it. And we're that way as well. So we kind of use logistics and emotion to have these conversations. And long story short, we actually wanted to take good care of her. I can say that she took really good care of us through the pandemic and through the strike, paid us, kept us on health insurance, all of this stuff. And so not only did we purchase the company, but we transitioned in a way where we're taking care of her for a while too. So she has no
Oh,
worries, financially or from a health standpoint. And it was a little bit of a beautiful win for all. And now, like, what are we doing? We want to innovate. We want to be creative. We want to be different. We want to be unique. We're globally expanding. And we actually already did. One of the first things we did was we brought on Bill Duke, famous actor, and got him booked on a movie in the John Wick series in Hungary. Like, so
Awesome.
we're going big and thinking big picture, but not just talking the talk. Like we're literally getting up every day and walking the walk.
wow. I'm rarely speechless. And I listen to this and it's like I get to interact with somebody who is literally changing the world for artists right now in a
Trying
top
to,
market.
trying
Well,
to literally every day. Like you
which
see
is
in
doing it, which
It,
is doing it.
isn't it funny, Jason? Like, 8, 10, 15 years ago, Atlanta was looked at as like this secondary market. And now I think everyone's eyes are on Atlanta and have been on Atlanta. I mean, obviously it's a little slower after the strikes, but it's slower in every market. But I think like everyone's eyes are here. If an actor's in LA and it's been slow for a couple of years, they're like, I'm gonna move to Atlanta. I mean, for you, how has that growth been as an agent? How has that growth been for reputation? What is it like being here in Atlanta?
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because when I got here, I want to say at least like once a day we'd get an email. Hey, I'm an actor in Los Angeles, but I would like to be in Atlanta. My cousin lives there. And we were just like, yeah, who cares? Like we got too many people. And now that we get that email every 15 minutes. So, and it's not necessarily I'm in Los Angeles, but a lot of them are. I'm in New York or I'm in LA or I want an LA, I want an Atlanta agent, but they're not here on the ground.
Yeah.
And the abundance of those emails is just a repeated reminder for me that we're doing something right here.
Hmm.
Do you take actors who are from a different market?
We didn't for a long time. We were really passionate about trimming down our roster and getting it to the point where we thought everybody was within 50 miles of the studio zone. Because I had casting directors like Mark Fincannon literally call and thank me for that. He's like, I just love it when I'm in a rush situation and I know I can call AMT and I have 700 actors that are on the ground and available to
Right.
shoot tomorrow. So I would say that, the majority of our actors still are. But I love actors too much to turn away somebody who can be here, who's talented, who wants someone to believe in them. And if they wow us and they can prove that they can be here and work local, like I want to give them a shot.
Now,
What
was there a
talent?
thing?
Oh, go ahead, Brett.
Go ahead, Jonathan,
Okay.
please.
What talent last wowed you with either a submission to the agency or a self-tape? And what was that wow factor?
Great question. I'm gonna call out a new client. Her name's Casey Brenneman. I just spoke really highly of her on a Zoom and it got back to her and she was wowed. I don't know if she'll see this, and I'm not going to point her toward it. But this young gal, early 20s, she responded to an Instagram post of mine looking for a dog sitter a couple years ago. And I was in last minute need. And so I was like, well, she seems harmless. And she was at that time working for Eric Goins, who is a local actor that I rep, who also was a SAG-AFTRA president for a while, great career. And he was like, I highly recommend her. And I thought, off his referral alone, let's bring her on to dog sit. So she did a wonderful job, kept my house clean and organized, and I came home to her headshot and resume and a note on the table. And the note was something along the lines of, coming from the dogs, like, we really liked her. We think you should like, it was creative and funny. And I looked at it, I showed it with shared it with the team. There wasn't a ton of interest just because we already have 45 gals in her category and she didn't have a ton of credits. Times Years go by. She's still applying, still submitting, still taking classes, doing all this great stuff. And then eventually she just said, "Can I apply to AMT?" And I thought, you know what? Let's give her a mock. I like her as a human being. We've built a relationship on a human level. She contacted me a few weeks later and said, "I never got that mock audition." And I thought, well, that's weird. So I checked with Madison, the agent who sent it, and she said, "Yeah, I sent it." So I said, "Casey, check your spam." There it was in her spam. She freaked out and turned it around in 2 hours. And I thought, wow, like she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to memorize 2 pages and turn in two completely different contrasting takes in 2 hours. And when I tell you, I didn't just watch her tapes and thought, oh, she's believable. I watched her tapes and I felt for her. And, I studied directing, getting my master's. And one of the biggest things that I learned in grad school was it's not just about telling your story or setting up the shot or, executing the script at a really high creative level. It's about making the audience feel something. And I talked about this at length with Jesse Malinowski in a Get Seen podcast. You got to make them feel. If they feel for you, they're gonna tune in. They're not going to watch you. They're going to feel for you. And she chose two completely different contrasting takes. I'm going to set it up for any actor that might be listening. In this scene, it was just kind of a, let's just label her, kind of a dorky girl going up to a guy that she likes and letting him know that she's interested. And he rejects her. And in the first one, she wanted it so bad, and was so nervous that when she got rejected, it broke my heart. And then in take two, she was so confident and flirty that it was funny and engaging. And then when she still didn't get it, we just thought, like, that girl had no chance. Like, she just completely went about it wrong. And she used the exact same text. It was just the work that she put in, and she did it in under 2 hours. And I shared with the team that story, and they're like, we gotta bring her on. We gotta bring her in for a Zoom. Everyone loved her. The Zoom was brief. They were like, she's smart, she's passionate, she's creative, she's professional. She's been with us, I don't know, 5, 6 weeks, and just booked the lead in a movie getting flown to Arkansas for a couple of weeks.
That's
Unreal.
that's wonderful. And who'd have thought it all came from a dog sitting post?
In like 2022.
Yeah.
Wow.
True
You know, I,
story.
I think this is such a unique opportunity to have you on this show. And I'm going to ask you probably the strangest question you've ever been asked. If you were me and Brett, what question would you ask you to make sure that we get something that no one else will hear anywhere else?
Wow, what a question. One of my favorite things to talk about is being selfless, but I talk about that everywhere. Okay, how do you get someone to believe in you? I don't know. But I think that's a really great starting place, is that question. How do you get someone to believe in you and to root for you? I think it starts with a list of adjectives like being kind and the verb of being putting putting or being selfless, letting your talent shine through the words of others, being calm and grounded. How do you get someone to believe in you? It's timing, not when they're busy. No one's going to pay attention to you when they're really busy. You got to catch them at the right time. I don't know, because I don't really know because I've never, like I say, I don't know if I've ever really had anyone believe in me as an artist. I have a lot of people believe in me as an agent. So I don't really know the answer to that, unfortunately, but I think it's a great question that we can start by asking ourselves and try to figure it out together.
Who do you believe in terms of your talent? And what does that person or those people, what do they have in common with each other?
Well, let's bring up your buddy Ahmad, Brett. I really believe in this man. I know his story. I know the hardships that this man has been through, and yet he has persevered. I know how hard he works in numerous areas to put a smile on people's face and to make other people's lives better. And because he makes so many lives better, I want to see him smile.
Wow.
On
I think
top
we
of him
need to
being
bring
incredibly
Ahmad
talented.
on this show. It's funny because because we talked about Ahmad with Jesse as well. So
So what other talent shares those qualities?
Most of them at AMT, that's one of the reasons they get in. It's not just their talent. We
yes.
cut a lot of people off the roster in the past few years because we don't think that they stood on the same level that Ahmad stands on.
That goes back to our saying is, don't be a dick.
Rule number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny is like, I think I used to be a dick. And
Yeah.
instead of being a dick, now I go silent. So people just can't get a hold of me anymore. And there are big agents and big managers in Los Angeles. They can't get Jason Lockhart on the phone anymore. And I'm fucking proud of that because they were dicks.
I loved, I loved that moment. I used to be a dick, and now I just go silent, and I'm fucking proud of it.
It's a choice.
If an actor was starting out right now, they're in class, they maybe have a smaller market agent, maybe two, they're doing some background work here and there. Not so much advice emotionally. Believe in yourself, work hard. What is an actual, actionable thing that they can do today to increase the chances of continuing to work, to mitigate the risk that is so intertwined with everything that this industry is?
They got to work on their craft every single day. If you want to make money playing piano or playing basketball, you can't just wait for someone to call you or someone to email you and say, "Hey, do you want to shoot hoops on Saturday?" Shoot hoops every day. And there are plenty of ways to be acting every single day, whether it's in your own class, creating your own content, watching and journaling shows that you're seeing that are current or shooting in your market, and writing down the scripts and shooting them yourselves, doing theater. There are so many ways that you can be flexing those muscles. And another really big way to do it? Get on Actors Access and start submitting to verticals because there's a lot of them. And that's acting. Be acting every day. If you're acting every day and you're in class, numerous classes, studying from different people, you will get better. And your competition is not going to be acting every single day. Therefore, they will not be getting better. And so your chances of booking more will go up.
Have you written a book, Jason Lockhart?
I have. It's called Ask an Agent.
Really?
Yes.
I'm buying it today.
Thank you.
Are you kidding me? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being so eloquent with the way you communicate your why. It's impactful. And if you want to learn more about American, I'll start that again. If
America.
you want to learn more about
About
Atlanta.
America. Start with the Constitution.
Amen. Amen. If you want to learn more about Atlanta models and talent, please go to amtagency.com. Check out what they do. Check out their submission section if they have one. And be a sponge. Buy Jason's book. Listen to this podcast, then listen to it again. You know, people do that, Brett. They go back and they re-listen,
Yeah.
and then they'll text me and say, I took notes. It was like a class. I think that's true for today. And I think that's all I have to say. I'm so impacted by your presence today, Jason. It's this is a unique new emotion for me right now.
I really feel like I really feel like, you know, growing in this industry myself, you know, I look at talent agencies in an entirely different way. Excuse me, talent agents. You know, I think I used to put everyone on a pedestal and I was scared of people. But I think at the end of the day, you come to realize that, you know, you're a person and you have to care so much about the people that you're working with. It's a dramatic art form, you know, it's a creative art form. And I mean, like, you coming in here and chatting and being so genuine, I think it's just an eye opener for talent in general, you know. So thank you.
Well, thank you
Here's
too.
the last. Oh, sorry, Jason.
I would say my book is written exactly how I speak. It was a little bit in there, and then I had an editor from New York who used to be a lit agent. She was like, I feel like 30% of this book has this like language, like this energy, you know? And then some of it doesn't, like you were trying to hold back. And she was like, I think you should let it out. And so I did. And so the book really is how I speak.
I hope you provide the voice for the audiobook. I hope you're reading it
I
yourself.
haven't done that yet. I think you should do it, actually, Jonathan.
It's a deal.
You sound better than I do.
I don't know about that. It's a deal. I'm going to ask you one last question. Favorite actor that we all would know and recognize, and what do you love about his or her work? That's going to be my last question. Then I'll turn it over to Brett.
God, that has evolved through life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like it's a just based on the body of work, I'm gonna say Brad Pitt. There are very few films that he's done that I'm not a big fan of. I like that he brings himself to everything. I like that he eats in a lot of the films. I like that he wants some control over his costumes. Um, I tend to buy into him, even though I know him so unbelievably well as an audience member.
I don't know how we're going to top this, Brett. How is it going to get better?
We're just done. You know, maybe we'll have Jason back on.
There you
I want
go.
I would like
There
to
we
be
go.
episode 99 as well.
Okay, we'll put it. We'll pencil you in now. So
All right.
I have nothing else to say. Brett and I are speechless. So all we're going to do is say, go check out rehearsenow.ai, check out prodigytalenttraining.com, and of course, amtagency.com. A very, very special thank you, my God, to you, Jason Lockhart. What a presence and a motivation that we need so badly in this industry. Man.
Well, thank you. You both have inspired me to go out there and work my ass off more than I've ever done. So thank you.
Thank you. And man, this has been Tech and Talent.
Second talent.
all right.
Decided that in 2 months, I want to do an episode where it's all four of us.
Interesting.
Yes.
I feel like that would be so fun.
Schedule it, book it, lock it in.
All right, I'll get out of here so you guys can all stay on schedule. Jason, see you tonight. Brett, see you tonight. Jonathan, it's so good to see you again, man. It's
You
been
too,
so
my
long,
friend.
dude. Y'all have a great episode.
Bye, Jesse.
Later,
Thanks.
Jesse. Thank you, sir.
Talk to you later. There you go.
I feel
right.
I feel like I just had like an interaction with acting Jesus.
It's funny that you say that because are you guys Michael Jackson fans by any chance?
Sure.
Yeah.
I've been a huge Michael Jackson fan since I was 3, and I've been reading a lot about how he would wake up in the middle of the night because he'd have this vision of a song, and he felt like things would come from God to spread certain messages, specifically ones like healing the world. And he would wake up at 2:33 in the morning and immediately feel like he needs to get this on paper and then get into the recording studio and get this out immediately while this like starburst of God came into his gut and into his head, and he had to get it out. And I will say that I think Jesse all the time like has these creative ideas and he just moves on them immediately and makes them actionable. Just like that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So you saying that like rings true.
It like I really feel it. I mean, he probably thought I was just kissing his ass the whole time. No, he didn't think that. But I really feel better after that interaction.
You know what's funny? I think you did to him what he said he does when he seeks out casting directors on Instagram, and like you told him that he inspires you. You were being genuine.
Yeah.
But like you did that moment. You like replicated exactly what he was talking about when doing outreach.
He'd make a great therapist or drug dealer, depending on his mood that day. Shall we get this thing going? I mean, we kind of already did.
Yeah, but we can make it official.
Let's do that.